Hello, and welcome to MGI's review of Zombicide. Alright, so I recently got this game because I decided that I wanted to do a zombie apocalypse kind of theme with my group around RPGs. More on that later. In any event, so what I got is Zombicide because the first thing you will notice when you unbox this is that there are a crap ton of zombies. I think it's like either 60 or 70 that there are in total in the box, and it's crazy because you actually have like a serious variety of not just kinds of zombies, but of the sculpts. And I gotta say, I actually really liked the sculpts of the zombies. I don't know if you can see these. Alright, so here are some of the zombie sculpts, which as you can tell are really good. These are some of the kind of shambly walkers, and that's the fatty, which there's only one of, but you know, it's a pretty good sculpt, so I'm not going to complain. And these are the runners next, also really good sculpts, and that's the abomination, which as you can tell is kind of small. Next are the survivor sculpts, and I mean the survival sculpts aren't bad, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like they could be so much better because they're not quite of the quality of, you know, the walkers and the abomination. But all in all, some really good sculpts here. Next thing you will find are the survivors, which are conveniently cast in a different colored plastic. So it's really difficult to kind of lose these guys amongst the zombies if you decide not to paint any of them. Which, I mean, you don't really need to paint any of them, because, I mean, they're pretty okay sculpts. Except for the survivors, because I don't know why, I just never really digged these sculpts. I mean, they're pretty okay positions, but I just never found them particularly awesome or appealing. I don't know, maybe that's just my personal preference. I mean, they're passable sculpts, but they're not anything to rave about. Unlike the zombies, which I thought those sculpts were really good. Alright, next is a sort of, it comes with the players, and it is a zombie, and this is the abomination. This is the big boss of them all, this tiny little guy. Like, let me show you how big this guy is. He's not really that big. And while it fits with kind of the fluff of what these guys are supposed to be, or what they're sort of implied to supposed to be, I didn't really like that they were so small. I was kind of hoping for something a little bit, larger. I don't know. I'm used to having huge hulking monsters, and because there was sort of kind of a Left 4 Dead theme in this, if you've ever played that video game, the abominations in that game are just fucking massive, huge, just hulks of meat that just run at you. And I don't know, this kind of abomination kind of lacked that. I was sad. But still, they're all very good sculpts, except for the survivors, which are kind of meh sculpts. But that's, it's worth having still. It's not a deal. Next bit that we will talk about are all these lovely little tokens that you get with the game. And some of them are pretty good, I mean, they're tokens. Can't really review a token, except the token that I really like, and I love to talk about, are these, which are the noise counters, and I'm not sure if you can see those on camera, so I will try and get a little bit closer. And that's what they look like, they're a little triangle. And what the noise counters do, essentially, is anytime in the game when you make a noise by either firing off a firearm or breaking open a door, all the zombies on the board will come to you if you have the most noise counters near you. So, or if you decide to make a noise, because you can in your turn, you can just make a noise. So if you decide to just make a noise and then walk away from that, the zombies will go towards the noise as opposed to where you are. So it can be sort of used as a distraction technique. Not recommended. I played this game a few times with my friends. We had some limited success with that sort of a strategy. One of us died. Long story short. Next bit are these, which are the card tokens. I mean, they're not really tokens and they're not really tiles. I don't know how to describe them. I really like them though because, I don't know, the way they're using the game is really, I mean, it feels like, oh my god, it's a car, we need a car, that's the first thing you think of. And this really plays to that. If you've ever played Last Night on Earth, it's a lot like that, as far as how important the car goes. And all the figures just fit right on there. Not quite as well as I would like, but, well enough. And you can just drive away. Next thing that you'll notice is you get about 6 of these red D6s. I mean, there's nothing special here. The game uses only D6s, so it's simple. It's the way I describe the game is something that's sort of like a kind of like a Saturday night, and you have your friends over, and you don't really want to play a real game. Well, you want to play a quick game, something that will be, it will only take you an hour or 2 hours, and will be really fun and challenging and cooperative. Because actually, what's interesting about the game is that all the zombies are non-player controlled. They're based off the zombie deck, which is a perfect segue. Well, sort of based off the zombie deck. Their spawning is based off the zombie deck, which is the first deck of cards you get. And they're these yellow cards, and they're pretty well detailed on the back here. They're kind of like event cards, kind of, not really. Still good, though. The way they work in the game. And one of the interesting things is that some of them have like a little caveat that, the zombies, instead of spawning at the allocated zombie areas, they will be spawning out of the sewers that you will see on the tiles, which we'll get to in just a little bit. And that really results in some interesting stuff. Let me actually talk about these next. These are the wound counters. You'll understand what those are when I kind of explain the character sheets in a little bit. But these are pretty good. I wish it had come with more because, well, as much as it never came to the point where we needed more. There's only 6. There's only 6 players, and as much as 2 wound counters you die, we sort of maybe bent the rules. My group did because we really sucked at this game, but it was still fun, even though we really, really awfully sucked at it. Next is, kind of like the zombie deck, but not really at all, is the items deck, which is sort of in red. Probably can't see that very well. But that is not the creme de la creme of this. What is the creme de la creme is what some of these items are. And I'll pull out a really cool one if I can find it, which is like our favorite, one of our favorites, which is the machete, of course. You can sort of maybe see that there. I mean, it's all the artwork is very kind of cartoony, comic booky, but it very much fits the style, and I think really worked well to the effect of the game. And I mean, it's good artwork. The machetes are cool because certain items you can dual wield, which we will get to right now as we look at the character sheets, which each character comes with one of them, and all the character sheets are blank on the back, so you can theoretically make your own character, but, I mean, these characters are pretty cool. As you can see on the character sheet, there's a place for items that you're currently equipping, and items that are sort of in your backpack, which is a really cool item management system. What I love, though, are these little plastic, and you probably can't even see this on camera, like a few things. These tiny little plastic markers, and now you'll be able to see it, which go right on top and essentially track your experience. And I don't know, I found those very useful because as opposed to using like normal trackers that are just tokens that like get pushed around everywhere, it stays in one place. And that was really convenient. Next up are the dungeon tiles. I think you get, let me see here, you get 4, I think it's 9. Yep, it's 9. And these are pretty good. I mean, I liked the artwork on them. They're, decently detailed. One thing I didn't like is that there's no grid. I'm one of those people who loves a grid, but the idea is that, like, this is a tile, this is a tile, this is a tile. Each room is its own tile. And I mean, it works in the game, but, it sort of diminishes from the tiles' versatility in other games. So, general talking about the rules and how they worked, because as I said, I played a few rounds of this game. First time I played the game, I thought, okay, well, the way it works is that the zombies sort of are non-player controlled, so I can play this in single player. So I picked Phil, and I was sort of just, the badass cop who was just going to solo it out, lone wolf style. Did not work at all. Died by turn 5. Well, by turn 5 I had 1 wound counter, and there were like 7 zombies on my tile. And the way that works in this game is that every time there's a zombie on your tile, you can't move to the next tile unless you have X amount of turns. So like if there are 7 zombies, I would need 8 turns, essentially, in 1 turn, where you only get 2 turns. I know that sounds confusing, to move to the next tile. So essentially, I got killed very fast playing single player. I played again in single player with about 3 characters, and that worked. And then I got a bunch of my friends, we all played 2 characters each, and that worked really well. This game definitely shines when you have at least 4 players and you are fielding 6 characters. Because that's when the whole, not only the team dynamic, but a lot of the strategy comes out. We actually ended up kind of making a day of it where we sort of, there's a campaign in the rule book, which I don't have next to me when I probably should, but there's sort of a semi-campaign, and it's sort of all these missions you can do, so we sort of went through that, and we sort of cheated because we kept our equipment, and at times we said, oh, well, screw it, we can do 3 wound counters, because the way wound counters work is every time a zombie attacks you, they will not only take your weapon, but they will give you a wound counter. Well, they will sometimes take your weapon, and then they will give you a wound counter. And every time you get 2 wound counters, that character is just dead, deceased. So you can imagine why it was difficult playing with 1 character. All in all, the game is actually really fun, I found. Definitely the sort of game that, like, if you don't want to take it too seriously, if you just want to, like, get out and field a couple of players and field a whole bunch of zombies and just, like, rampage and, we gotta get the water, we gotta get to the vehicle, it's definitely really good for that. I mentioned Last Night on Earth because that's a game that's very similar to this. It is also a really good game, but the only reason I would recommend this one over that one is that there is a lot of really well-sculpted zombies in this. And as far as gameplay goes, I still personally like Last Night on Earth a little bit better, just because it's a little bit more narrative than this is, and it's equally as cartoony, but a little more serious in a sense. And it also, in my opinion, plays a little bit better. But this was definitely a very good buy. I can certainly recommend it. So definitely, if you're interested, if you want to get a whole bunch of zombies, check the links below. Definitely like this and subscribe if you like our reviews and want to see more. Alright, yes. Okay, so as the little title thing said, this is shameless self-promotion. But as some of you may know who have read our blog, which is also down in the links below, Unbound Heroes, which is the game that MGI, or technically I, wrote, is being released this Saturday on the 12th. Which is very exciting. I mean, it's not a technical release, we're not actually publishing anything. But the official rules will be available to everyone, as well as a couple of DMing materials. Just to clarify, we don't actually have any world guides out yet, but because I know a lot of DMs just love kind of taking rules and then being like, okay, I'm going to use these rules and then just do my own campaign. It's definitely really good for that, because I mean that was sort of the whole idea, is having really fun, simplistic rules that a DM can really quickly and easily say, okay, I'm going to go make my own world now. Another reason I mention this is because possibly one of the world guides we're going to have out in the next 4 to 5 months, I don't know if that's going to be true in the next 4 to 5 months, but hopefully in the next 4 to 5 months, is a game called Aftermath. Well, not a game, a world guide that plugs into Unbound Heroes, and Aftermath is based on zombies, which is why I originally bought Zombicide, because obviously there are about 60 zombies right over there that are beautifully sculpted. Also, another really good sculptor of zombies, if you're curious, is Mantic Games. I'll put them in the link below too. I mean, it's basically the same price range. The only difference is all this stuff comes pre-assembled, whereas Mantic, you have to assemble it, except maybe that's sort of your thing if you're into the hobby, which I sort of am, except I'm way too lazy to paint any of it. But yeah, that's definitely another great place to go for zombies. That's basically it. Definitely check out our blog. Check us out on January 12th if you're interested in getting those rules on your hands. And stay tuned for more reviews.